Hey folks, it's Mad Rabbit, and we're going to do another tutorial today. Doing Windmill. Like I said, I was going to do, I think I might have mentioned it last episode where we did the stables. Real simple, not too elaborate design. The only elaborate part really is maybe the windmill blade and perhaps the roof, but it's not too different from most of my other builds, so it should be pretty simple to pick up. You see here it's 5 in between, and then like 2 on the angle. But then I came back in and did a layer of cobble on the bottom. This didn't quite look right without the cobble in there. And you can go any height you want. You can do any colors you want. Later on in this video, I will show you another color combination. I altered it. And actually, it looks better than this combination. So you'll see that more towards the end of the video. And I'm doing these small little, I don't know what you'd call them, kind of windows that stick out, and in the front I only do one high and on that since there's a doorway there. And you can always do the higher pitched roof types that I had and make this even taller. I would make this section taller if you're going to do that. And you have to take a look at some of my older videos that I sort of did that. And so when I do this part here, I'm just kind of going out one, using the logs kind of to frame it still. Sticking with the white up here too. Now if I were to give a design some advice, I would change up the colors from the bottom to the top, or do different materials, maybe brick on the bottom, white on the top, something along those lines. It could be anything really. The one I do later is stone brick on the bottom part, and green, like a darker green on the top. So I go back in here, I frame the whole thing, and I'll show you a few designs in here a little bit later also. But it's kind of going out, tapering out, that's going to taper back in. So you're basically reversing it on the inside now here, as you see, doing the same thing, and then going in and yeah, some of these areas I did do sideways logs, but not too many. And you can always adjust these to be slightly higher too, like to have 3 or 4 bricks higher in each section or something. In this video I did not do the interior. I may go back at some later point in time. It's more for an exterior look to it. And here's the roof, which is probably the more difficult section, but it's not that difficult. You can do any design you want, as you see here. As long as I like going in and covering up the spacing so you can't see into it. Then I just sort of, yeah, also using some of the slabs here too is a good idea. I didn't go too overboard with it. And then just sort of put down another layer here. Now what you could do is, again, do that higher pitched roof design I've done in some of my other builds. Maybe make a whole layer here of stone brick instead of what I'm doing. I do it this way, this one at least. It looks good enough for this build. And you can also put dormers up there too if you do a higher pitched roof, because you'll have more room. So yeah, I did have dormers in some of my other high pitched roof builds, so yeah, go back and check some of them out. The ones like for the tavern and at the other white tower, which looks very similar to this, has some similarities to it. I threw a few slabs in there. Some of those areas where there's just logs. And what I'm trying to do with this series, and you'll see it later on, and you saw it in the last, I think the last tutorial video, I'm going to try also placing these in other environments. I did one in this video. another environment where, and what I do with that color change, and I kind of work on the environment around it. So also giving you some guys ideas on how to do some landscaping too, and integrate these into your current builds a little bit better perhaps. Yeah, from here it's pretty linear. When you get up higher, then you just frame it. But as you see here, I do kind of go to the high pitched on the last few rows here. And you can switch up like this. I wouldn't switch back though. If you're going to start off at normal, then maybe switch up. That's okay, but I wouldn't switch back. So yeah, an optional spire here too. This is completely optional, and you can put little things on the side. It's up to you, or if you don't have to do anything like that. It's just optional, and I like the look of it. Optional windows. You can always do more of those sort of like those windows that stick out, like those right there. Um, I sort of do that here, but you don't have to. You just do regular windows and do the shutters like I did in some of my other builds. I do some shuttered windows on the lower level a little bit later here. Then I go in here and do a little bit of a design with the wood. Um, as long as you're doing symmetrical with the other side, it's sort of the key to it. So the two sides would look one way, the front would look one way, and then maybe the back another. So you see how I do like a little bit different on the front and the back. Sadly, these logs are an issue still. And here's where I build the actual blade, and you got to make sure it's not gonna be one. It's got to be at least one away from the rough when you go up with it. And there's all different ways you can do this. I went up 7 diagonally from that stairway I put in, and then I do like a layer on top. But you also, when you're doing this, you have to see, like I do a layer on top here. You have to make sure when you're going around, you're doing it correctly, so like it's on the correct side. Then on that side that you do it on, you go in with, I'm doing just sort of doing a support for the side of it, as you'll see here. Again, any coloration you want. You can change the materials out. You can change the blade design completely, make it like a lot wider. I just went for a thin one on this one. I may go back at a later point in time and change it to a wider one. Then I just garnish the building as I typically do with some of the posts here and there. I think it looks good on these dormers too, to do like that design I'm doing right here. Again, that's sort of an optional thing. Having more to look at though, not to go too overboard with it. Go too overboard with it, it just doesn't work. So yeah, as you see here, it actually makes your building look a little better. You actually make it not so flat in the bottom. You kind of make it look like it's supported. And then you like just going in with those shutters like I've done in several other builds. You actually use them as building elements on the walls, having nothing to do with windows, like this. Just for design. You see there, put a couple more up there. And that's pretty much it for this thing. Giving you a little quick panoramic, and I'm going to show it being built into the environment. Put a copy of it and change the colorations like I said I was going to do in another area. And I also decided to develop this area, since it really wasn't developed. This is kind of like my old castle area. If you have seen my tour series, go back and view that to know where this is. A lot of the area has not been developed, and now I go back in again and do some adjustments on the road, kind of make it a little more rustic looking, switching out the cobble with some gravel, Um, you gotta throw some hills in, not make it so flat. Except for up when you're looking at the wall. I sort of want it to be flat leading up to the wall, more defensive that way. And just throwing in a lot of scattered hedges and just to give something in the environment. You see here I have lots of little patches of gravel, just see here and there. And that's the different coloration. I did a white blade with green on the top, put some vines on, and there you go. So thanks guys for watching. Remember to hit that like button on the way out, and I will catch you next time. Mad Rabbit is out of here.